I'm live. Okay. Hello. It is Thursday. Still Thursday. And it is the 13th of April 2023. I'm reading out of Joan Grants' book entitled Sir Moses Was Born. It's a far memory book. Joan Grant lived from 1907 till 1989. And she wrote books of her far memories. I felt like a reading, and I just hope it's not getting too dark, to be honest. Need a bit of light. I think this is the 10th reading, and this chapter is entitled The Girl from the Grain Barge. Moses had met her before. For the first 3 days of his reign, Moses did not see Nefertari alone. He longed to open his heart to her, for he was exhausted by the effort of ceaselessly maintaining his role of sudden maturity. But Nefertari was more eager to become the wife of the new Moses than to console the boy. Perhaps she thought that if she allowed him to admit, even to her, that he still lacked self-confidence, he might revert to his habit of obedience to Tua. Before he realized she did not want to listen, he told her about the girl who lived on the grain barge. She was sent by my father, he said eagerly. If I had not talked with her, I might never have thought of wearing Neb's clothes. She was hurt because he had not turned to her instead of to a stranger, and so, in a voice sharper than she intended, said, Seti would not be likely to use a crippled girl as his messenger, nor to be pleased that his son takes advice from one of the common people. So you refuse to believe I spoke with my father after he was dead? His temper flared. I suppose you also think I lied about going to the tomb. No doubt I hid in a hayloft because I was afraid of seeing him die, and then stayed there all night like a child in dread of punishment. Of course you went to the tomb, she said hastily. No one but you could have been brave enough to sleep there. So you think it was only a dream? Did I dream Neb too? Or is he the only one, another figment of my fevered imagination? Of course Neb was real. She flung her arms around him. Dear Moses, please stop being horrid. What does it matter if you were awake or asleep when Seti said you were the new Pharaoh? You are Pharaoh. Nothing else is at all important. It is odd that Father did not send me to you. Or perhaps it is really not so odd as I thought, he said coldly. Then if you like that girl so much, you had better show your gratitude. Nefertari was close to tears, though too proud to shed them. When he did not answer, she tried to make him more angry, for they had often quarrelled and found swift reconciliation. The royal treasure is now at your command. What would she like? A roll of linen for her clean bandage every day, or a string of beads, so that her brother will not be ashamed to show her to his companions? Until then, Moses had intended to do no more than make some suitable provision for the girl, a small farm for her family, or a new barge, with permission to trade in the larger towns, if she preferred living on the river. She will need to be far more than a roll of linen. She will need far more than a roll of linen if she is to be suitably dressed among the women of your household. As to the bandages, Whether they are to be used will depend on the advice of my physician. Ramoses, don't be ridiculous. How could a grubby child find a place amongst my women? Or do you mean she can work in the kitchens? I will arrange that to please you, but I think she would be much happier among her own kind. You flatter me, Nefertari. Since when has one who has earned the gratitude of Pharaoh been unworthy to peel onions for your soup? I don't eat onions. Then I suggest you seek advice from Tauset, as you have not the wit to weep for your own stupidity. He stormed out of the room, and Nefertari wept. The quarrel might still have left no lasting scar if Tua had not found her crying and been clever enough to get the angry girl to tell her what happened. For the first time she realized that it would be wiser to use her future daughter-in-law than to oppose her. I will go to Ramoses, she said consolingly. He's a little intoxicated with his new power, but in domestic matters he will still listen to me. Together, but only together, we can save him making foolish mistakes. It was mostly my fault, said Nefertari forlornly, suddenly afraid that she might have said far more than she had intended. Who is this girl, and why does my son feel grateful to her? If she is one I chose for him as a concubine 2 years ago, you have no cause for anxiety. Her child died, and if he's still thinking of her, she can easily be removed. With profound relief, Nefertari knew she had not said too much, though already she regretted saying anything. Why had she been so foolish as not to ascribe her tears to grief at the death of Seti? In future she must be far more careful. The girl is not important, the sister of one of the boys with whom Ramoses used to set snares for wildfowl. He wanted me to take her into my household. It was silly of me to take offense. She could join the sewing women, or learn to make garlands, if she shows any special skill with flowers. Please don't mention it to Ramoses. He will be angry with me if he thinks I run to you with our petty quarrels. It is of course as you wish, dear child, said Tua, then hurried away to seek out her son. She found him at last in the room where the tallies were kept. She had been wondering whether he could, without loss of dignity, consult Karaden as to how much he should give to the girl without being absurdly overgenerous. What would be wealth for them? A cellar of gold or $3, 3 collars? What was the value to uterus of a farm with animals to stock it? Why had no one taught him the value of things? In imagination he saw himself choosing a bunch of radishes in the marketplace and in exchange offering a tusk of ivory, while the bystander tittered. The door opened. So that is where you are, said Tua. I have been looking for you everywhere. I regret, my honored mother, that I dared to move freely in my palace without first asking your permission. Now don't be tiresome. You have already upset Nefertari, but I have no intention of letting you disturb me. He sat on the cedarwood chest which held the scrolls which recorded the revenues of the royal estate of the south. I think, he said smoothly, that we should come to a more exact definition of our rival authority. Let it be understood that although you will have jurisdiction in your own household, you have none in mine. I asked a favor of Nefertari. She preferred not to grant it, so I will make different arrangements. The little palace belonged to Neb, who left no direct heir, so it is now reverted to me. Tomorrow I will have a new owner. Anyone who inquires into her antecedents will incur my personal displeasure and have to make a substantial restitution, a tenth, say, of all they possess. Ramoses, how dare you insult Nefertari? Or have you changed your mind and decided that you are too young for marriage? A man's old enough to marry when he cannot be dominated by women. It seems that few men achieve this desirable condition, but I consider myself to have been successfully weaned. You have been remarkably sly, she said, but there was pride of him rather than anger in her eyes. May I venture to ask the nature of the woman who has so cleverly taught my son the art of manhood? To his acute embarrassment, Ramoses realized that he had no idea what the girl was called. She will be known as the lady. It will depend on Nefertari whether she becomes one of the queen's women or holds some more enviable, if less official, position. When his mother had left him, his anger cooled. He felt ill at ease. He had been a fool, and somehow he must prevent anyone finding out how much he regretted this extra responsibility he had put upon himself. He had intended to send one of his servants to the girl with some appropriate gift, but now he would Oh dear, I was so engrossed that I don't know when this battery light came up now. Well, I'll read 2 more passages. I hope I didn't do this more than that. I can't check now. I knew you weren't rich, she said consolingly. My leg will heal without ointment, so please don't be sad about it. I can give you the ointment and the house and the garden and the dog. I can give you everything. Why do you mock me? It's only a game we are playing. The game will be spoiled if you claim it will really happen. It is more than a game. Will you come with me so that I pick this up later? Bye bye.